Your dentist saw that cavity, wrote it down, and decided not to touch it. That's not negligence. That's the protocol. And nobody told you what they were waiting for. I'm going to show you exactly what that was, why it was never explained to you, and the 2 changes you can make tonight before you go to bed that decide which way that tooth goes. Because here is what almost nobody says out loud. A cavity is not a hole that appears one day. It is a process. And for a while, sometimes for years, that process runs in both directions. You have probably lived this. You go in for a cleaning. The dentist looks, murmurs something to the assistant, and then says the sentence that makes no sense at all. We're going to watch it. Watch what? If there is decay in my tooth, why are we watching it? Why aren't we fixing it? And you leave with a vague feeling that something is wrong with you, that you didn't brush well enough, that this is somehow your fault. It is not your fault. And the reason they watch instead of drill is the most interesting thing in modern dentistry. But to understand it, you have to throw out the picture in your head. The picture in your head is a tooth like a piece of wood, and decay like a termite eating through it. One direction. Always worse. That picture is wrong. Enamel is not wood. Enamel is a mineral crystal, mostly calcium and phosphate, and it is sitting in a liquid bath all day long. That liquid is your saliva, and saliva is loaded with the same calcium and phosphate the tooth is made of. So minerals are constantly leaving the tooth, and minerals are constantly coming back. Every day, every hour. Leaving, returning, leaving, returning. Dr. John Featherstone, who spent his career on this at the University of California, described caries exactly this way: a dynamic disease process, a tug of war. You lose minerals when the bacteria in your mouth eat sugar and produce acid. That acid pulls calcium out of the crystal. That is called demineralization. And you gain minerals back when the acid is neutralized, and the saliva pushes calcium and phosphate back into the crystal. That is remineralization. A cavity, a real one, a hole, only happens when the losing side wins for long enough. Which means, and stay with me here, because this is the part that changes everything, there is a stage before the hole. A stage where the tooth is losing mineral but has not collapsed yet. Dentists can see it. It shows up as a chalky white spot, or a subtle shadow on the x-ray. And at that stage, the tooth can be pushed back the other way. That is what your dentist was watching, not the cavity, the tug of war. Now, I want to be straight with you because this is where a lot of people online start lying. Once that tooth has actually collapsed, once there is a physical hole, the structure is gone and it does not grow back. No toothpaste, no oil, no diet, nothing rebuilds a broken wall. Anyone who tells you they can heal a cavitated tooth with coconut oil is taking your money. That is not what we are talking about. We are talking about the stage before that, the early lesion. And that stage is where the entire game is decided. So the real question is not, can teeth heal? The real question is, what is tipping the tug of war against you? And if you are a woman over 40, there is an answer to that. And it has almost nothing to do with how well you brush. It is your saliva. Saliva is not just water. It is the delivery system. It is what carries the calcium and phosphate back to the tooth, and it is what neutralizes the acid. If you have less saliva, you have less of both. The tug of war tilts permanently in the wrong direction. And here's the thing that ties this back to everything else happening in your body right now. Salivary flow drops as estrogen drops. The salivary glands have estrogen receptors. That is why so many women hit their late 40s and suddenly notice a dry mouth at night, a burning tongue, a strange metallic taste, food that sticks. It gets dismissed as nothing. It is not nothing. It is the removal of your tooth's repair system. And the cruelty of it is the timing. Your saliva is already at its lowest point of the entire day at night, while you sleep. Flow drops to a fraction of what it is during the day. So for 7 or 8 hours every night, your teeth are sitting in a mouth with almost no defense. Now take that already low nighttime flow and lower the baseline again with the hormonal shift. That is the window where enamel is lost. Not while you are eating, while you are sleeping. Which is why the 2 things I am about to tell you are both about the night. The first one is the smallest change you will make this year, and it might be the most important. When you finish brushing at night, do not not rinse your mouth with water. Just spit. Spit out the excess and go to bed. I know. Everyone rinses. Your mother rinsed. It feels unfinished not to. But think about what rinsing actually does. You just spent 2 minutes coating your teeth in a paste full of remineralizing minerals, and then you take a glass of water and wash all of it down the drain. You have delivered the medicine and immediately removed it. This is not folklore. It is the official recommendation of the National Health Service in the United Kingdom, and it has been studied directly. Rinsing with water after brushing has been shown to cut the availability of the active mineral agent in your saliva by roughly 2.5 times. Pitts and colleagues reviewed this in the British Dental Journal in 2012, and the conclusion was the same. Spit, don't rinse. Those minerals need contact time with the tooth. Overnight, undisturbed is when they do their work. So that is change number 1, and it costs you nothing. Spit, don't rinse. Change number 2 is what you leave on the tooth. Most of us were handed one option our entire lives: fluoride. And fluoride works. That evidence is real, it is decades deep, and I am not here to scare you off it. But it is not the only agent that remineralizes enamel anymore, and if you have been looking for a fluoride-free option, you should know what the research actually shows instead of what the internet shouts. The alternative is hydroxyapatite, and the reason it is interesting is almost poetic. Hydroxyapatite is not a foreign chemical you are applying to the tooth. It is what the tooth is made of. Your enamel is roughly 97% hydroxyapatite. So when it is in a toothpaste in the right particle size, it can adhere to the damaged enamel surface and fill in the microscopic defects. It is not coating the tooth. It is more like patching it with its own material. And this is where I want you to notice the difference between a supplement claim and an actual trial, because hydroxyapatite has been tested head-to-head against fluoride. In a randomized clinical trial published in 2022, children using hydroxyapatite toothpaste showed caries progression essentially equivalent to the fluoride control group over a full year. And in a double-blinded randomized trial in adults, over 18 months, hydroxyapatite toothpaste showed a caries-preventing effect as well. Not superior. Equivalent. Which, for a fluoride-free option, is exactly what matters. So if fluoride is not for you, for whatever reason, you are no longer choosing between fluoride and nothing. That was true 15 years ago. It is not true now. Now put those two changes together because they multiply. Brush at night with a remineralizing toothpaste. Spit. Do not rinse. Do not drink water afterward. Go to sleep with that mineral layer sitting on the enamel. You have just taken the most vulnerable window of your day, the 7 hours when your saliva has abandoned you, and you have turned it into the longest uninterrupted repair window your teeth get. That is what your dentist was waiting to see, not whether the tooth would break, whether the tug of war would turn. And now you know which side you are pulling for. One more thing, and this matters, because I said I would be straight with you. This does not replace the dentist. If that tooth has already collapsed, it needs to be restored, and no routine fixes that. Watching is only the right call while the lesion is still early. So keep going, keep getting looked at, and ask them directly next time. Ask which stage it is at. Ask if it is still reversible. You are allowed to ask that question, and the answer changes what you do tonight. You are not falling apart. Your mouth is responding to a change nobody prepared you for, and most of it is still in your hands.